Hey folks, it's Nate, and it's time I got back to the drawing board, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about my own project, a little bit of what I've been working on in the background all this time. And the project is currently crowdfunding over on Indiegogo. It's called Hexwood, Dust, and Ashes. And before you hit that link, though, you may want to know a little bit about what the project is about, which is totally fair. Simply put, Hexwood is a weird Western, or a sort of blending of the Western genre and the fantasy genre. And it is not exactly set in the American Old West as we know it, but you'll see a lot of similarities there. And it is kind of a story of sheriffs with fiery swords and trained robbers who invoke ancient and terrible powers in order to fulfill their goals. Really interesting stuff if that's what you're into. Simply put, Hexwood, Dust, and Ashes is a tale of magic and vengeance in the Colombian West, and it features our Tin Star Sheriff here right on the cover. So this is Mark Pendleton right here. And then the chief villain of the tale is behind him. This is Stovepipe Nick in his trademark stovepipe hat. Hats being very important in the West. Not only do they keep the sun out of your eyes, they said a lot about who you are. So he is the protagonist, and he's out to sort out a couple of murders that take place in the town of Hexwood because, well, you're the sheriff. You're kind of your job. And he's a pretty simple man. He doesn't talk a whole lot except when he's sorting out plans with his deputies and the posse. But he is a very deep man, and we are getting a first look into his character, his history, and his backstory, especially because while Stovepipe Nick is the villain of this part of the story, overall, he's really the lackey of a guy by the name of Frank Dugan of the Red Hat Band. And here you can see Frank, again, consorting with some of those otherworldly powers. And Frank is, in many ways, the opposite of Mark, not just because one of them is a train robber and a highwayman, and the other is an officer of the law. Frank is Frank is a destroyer in many ways, and conversely, Mark is a builder. And that's another thing that we're going to be looking at, these differences in the philosophies and how it is that these two men have come to such different outcomes from very much the same place. More of the background on that will come out in later stories. Right now, we're just sort of setting up the world and the general situation. But I do want you to look forward to seeing the conflict between these two characters more because it is really the heart of Hexwood's story, even if it's not the focus of this first part of the journey. So, along with Mark and Frank, and of course Nick, Mark does have some allies of his own. Here we can see the protagonists, the heroes of the story, if you will, all together in town. Right here, we have the mine foreman, Alistair Cook. And over here, we have Deputy Yudang Han, who is a bit of a stranger in town, but has earned enough respect from the townspeople to serve as Mark's deputy. So these people are going to be tasked with sorting out the murder of Sam Jenkins, an old prospector who lives outside of town and who just turns up dead one day. And if you've as you may have already figured out, yes, Stovepipe Nick and Frank Dugan do have a lot to do with that. Unfortunately, that's not the only body there's going to be in Hexwood by the end of the tale. Mark's going to have a lot on his hands, but I hope you'll enjoy seeing him sort that all out. It is, in my opinion, a pretty exciting story. It has a lot of not necessarily good versus evil, but principle versus amorality in it, which I think is very fun to dig into and look at. And yeah, it's a great story. It's completely finished, by the by. I know that there are a lot of crowdfunded comics that take forever to fulfill, but you'll see I have the art for all 85 story pages and the cover already done. And with that, and I'm doing a little bit of the lettering now. If the campaign does very well, I may hire a letterer so I can focus more on the next stage of the story. But as it is, I will be lettering it on my own. So it's about a quarter lettered right now, and I hope to bring it to you on time. And yeah, it's a self-contained story. By and large, there are, of course, dangling plot threads at the end that are intended to be sorted out in future parts of the story. But my hope is if this is all that is ever completed, you will still get a good and satisfying story for your money. So I hope that's something you're interested in. If you are, again, you can hit that Indiegogo link down below in the description. And I will talk to you later. Let me know in the comments if there's any other issues about the story you'd like me to address. See y'all later.